Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Enchanting Lawyer podcast. This is your host, Jacob Sapochnik, and just like we do every week, we interview the brightest minds in startups, in law, in technology, and these are people that are risen above the normal, and they share their ideas with us and help us become better at what we do. And this week, we have a young entrepreneur, a very interesting person that I got to know over the past year. And the reason I'm excited about today's show is because not only this person is remarkable in the way he has established himself in technology, but also the company that he co-founded is doing amazing things. And we're talking about a company called Aira, AIRA.io. And IRA's unique services help blind and low vision users gain greater mobility and independence via a network of trained agents and assistive technology. And this is just, when I first heard about this, I was just blown away. And Suman, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Good, Jacob, and thanks for the introduction.
Excellent. So, Suman, I know you're here in San Diego and enjoying the beautiful weather here. And there's been a lot of progress with the company over the past 6 months, but I'm particularly interested to learn about how you came about to start this and this amazing technology that is definitely changing people's lives. So why don't you tell us a little bit what IRA does and a bit about yourself, how you came to the U.S. and things like that. So take it away.
Okay, all right. So, first question, let me start with the seeds of IRA and how it started.
Yes.
The seeds of IRA, it started over more than an year ago. So, it's last April. And the idea was between a computer software engineer named Yuja and myself brainstorming on how Google Glasses can be helpful for people. And we had a common friend called Matt Brock, and he's a communication professional. He's a good friend of mine. So the more we became acquainted and talked to Matt Brock about how Google Glasses can be helpful, three of us began to discuss how a technology like glass with the real-time camera can be helpful with remote set of agents. So initially Matt Brock was more of a mentor to me, and he said, "Hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and do a prototype of it." And the way it works is Matt Brock puts the Google Glass on, and then we do a hangout, like literally a hangout back like 1 year ago.
Right.
Well, this time instead of me seeing Matt, I see what he sees. So that way, I can guide him through, if, doing any different set of activities. So it's basically a remote set of eyes for blind and visually impaired people. Now, that was an idea, but where we are today is totally, I shouldn't say totally different, but a lot of progress from where we started. So what we do is we stream the user's location information. We stream user as in blind person in here, whatever they see real time to a remote agent. We train the agents on how to communicate with the blind person, how to describe the intersections. When you are in a shopping center, describe how things are related to the blind person as if they would understand, because there is a specific set of vernacular that anybody needs to know to communicate with the blind person. So that's a huge piece of our development in the service. So besides like GPS location, we also have information around from the sensor from the glass, such as if he is looking at an object, how far the object is. If he is looking at a set of cafe shop, we will identify how many objects are in the cafe shop and how to maneuver between the chairs and tables and things like that. So it's a balance between presenting or utilizing the greatest and latest technologies to a remote agent in an intuitive fashion, so that they can assist the blind person do several amazing things. And In fact, we've been doing several beta trials in San Diego for the past 2 months, and the feedback has been amazing.
And I know you shared some of your progress with me as well, and I was totally blown away. But one thing that is interesting to me, and also a lot of our listeners, professionals and people that are entrepreneurs in their own way, providing service and starting law firms, accounting firms, and other great businesses. But I'm curious to hear from you. I mean, you're now on a verge of breaking and disrupting an industry that has not been disrupted for many years. And so I'm curious to understand, how did you think of this idea and trying to innovate in this space? Kind of walk with us through the process of you saying, you know what, I'm going to choose this space and I'm going to create something unique that has not been done. Because a lot of companies and a lot of people that are creating businesses, they copy from each other. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm just going to change a few things and I'm going to open a company. This is totally different. There's nothing out there like that. And I'm just trying to understand what goes in your mind of you and your co-founders when you start creating something that innovative.
That's a very good question, Jacob. Well, let me see if I can break that down. So, I mean, one of the important key pieces for us was how to develop a technology for the blind person, and the crux of the technology was around how we can leverage the camera and the sensors that is present in the wearable smart devices these days to provide with remote assistance. Now, um, the unique thing, as you touched base in here, is right now there are a lot of like remote technologies that exist in the corporate world, in the entrepreneur world, and in things like on the fields, right, where you are connected to an operator and operator tells you. But what if you can use the same sort of technology
Yeah.
to actually guide a person? That is, I think, where we bring in the uniqueness in terms of if you think about it, it's a risky scenario where you're talking about a blind person, you're talking about they being on the streets with their
Right.
white cane and with no assistance. Typically, if they are going to a new place, they walk with somebody, right?
Right.
um, Now, pushing the technology to an extent where you are creating a virtual personal assistant who is remotely talking to you, and they have all the information about you. To push it further, right? This is an interesting analogy I tend to use rarely, but for people who use games, right? If you have 10 people, playing the same game,
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about like a virtual reality where multiple people are moving in the same arena, and then you have multiple people trying to analyze like what exactly is happening. And this is like a game where you have all the information about a person who is remote on the streets, but you have to make decisions and you have to provide information for the user to be able to navigate through the streets. And that angle kind of blends into our dashboard as well, on how we develop our dashboard for the agents, because the information has to be so intuitive. I think I got carried away with the dashboard, but thinking back, Jacob, one of the criterias for us is, if the concept really helps blind users or not. So one thing I should mention is, initially when we started experimenting with Matt Brock, we met several different blind people here in local San Diego community,
Right.
and we actually tested it out. And it's not just about the camera stream and the agent. There are so many details associated with it, and the more we did testing with several different blind people, the more we understand on how a product like this could be established. Now you touched on one thing, which is how did we think about actually pursuing this, right? When we were initially developing the technology, we went into multiple directions. Okay, we have a remote assistive technology which works great, very similar to like Meerkat or Periscope or other FaceTime live applications.
Right.
But why do we have to use this for the blind people? uh, so we were in that we were in that scenario for good amounts of time, like 2 to 3 months, trying to understand what is our vision. We have this technology, amazing technology that we are building, but we stuck with our main value proposition, which is how can we create greater independence and mobility to blind using the technology. Once you started building the technology, we got confused. Hey, hang on, this technology is awesome. We can actually create something else with this one. Why do we have to choose this one? So right now, even till today, our goal is we are focusing on creating a remote assistive technology platform for blind and visually impaired. But if we address that problem, which is a niche market, and if we really make the platform robust, the platform can be extended to multiple different markets. Just in healthcare, we have dementia,
Of
we
course.
have autism. It can be helpful to a lot of different people, and in the commercial world, it can be a remote assistive technology for skill tradings as well. So yeah, so we have a vision for the platform. We start with focusing on helping the blind build the platform, make it robust, and move on to the other
Mhm.
markets.
And I had a chance to watch the video that you shared with me. Showing me an actual blind person walking in the street and trying to get to an appointment, and an agent will log in, and then and they can see what the person sees when the moment he orders the service. He clicks on his Google Glass, and they can
Mm-hmm.
actually walk with him. They can talk with him. They
Mm-hmm.
can identify restaurants that he likes. They can search his Facebook page and learn about him while they talk to him. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this is to me. I was just looking at this, and I can just see the future in front of my eyes, and that's why I was really excited about talking to you today, because I think you guys have developed something totally incredible. And of course, again, starting with the blind world, trying to help them live their life better. But I can totally see that becoming something that I could use
Yeah.
in many different aspects. Now,
Yeah.
so again, we talked about the technology, and I think it's amazing. And but at the same time, you are now living the life of a startup. You're in the trenches. You are building this company. You don't know what's going to happen. You guys are raising money. You're trying to convince people to work with you. And I'm curious to know, just for me as somebody who is an entrepreneur myself, what is one mistake that you've made, and I'm sure you made a lot, and what did you learn from this mistake? Looking back in the last year of running this company.
Good question. There are several mistakes, as you said. I'm thinking through what should I be picking on. I think Jacob, one of the important things for a startup is the team.
Right.
Uh, when you say the team, it's not just about the super rock stars on who are good programmers, who are good designers, who are good with law, and who are good with financing, etc. But it's about all of these people coming together for one goal, and that is super important. So, as a person who generally tends to trust people quite a bit, um, I did few mistakes in trying to do my homework on choosing the people that this team wants to work with. And we made mistakes along the way, and we kind of did some damage in the early on stages. But again, mistakes done early in the stages are much better than at a later time. um, so if I had to give my 2 cents, it would be, startup grows rapidly, but choosing the right set of people who has similar set of
Right.
ethics, goals, and the vision for the company and the love for what you do is super super important. Otherwise, rather than focusing on the real problem or the real product, you'll be focusing your energy on somewhere else, and that's the last thing you want to do in a startup.
Right. And I totally agree that team and the people behind the company is really what is important. I mean, I just came back last week from an event where investors are looking at companies, and the main thing they're looking at is actually who are the people behind the company more than
Hmm.
the product. I mean, of course, the product is very important, but the team is, and I think I'm happy that you highlighted that.
Yeah.
You know,
And I
go
mean,
ahead.
just one thing to add
Sure.
is, like, for example, Larry Bock, right? And how we found him. And I can see that, the amount of trust that he puts in the team from now to like 6 months ago is linearly increased. And Now that is the sort of people that is lucky enough to find. So when you are lucky enough to find those people, you want to stick with the team and make progress that way.
And when you mentioned Larry Bach, it's for those who don't know, Larry is one of the biggest names in science. I would say throughout the United States, he's an investor and a founder of many big companies, and he is a person that found very much interest in this company, your company, and he's leading the board. And it just kind of brings me back to mention that I'm sure that one of the reasons why he's doing it, not just because the product is great, but also because he believes in your team. And again, like I said, team is important.
Yeah.
Now, Suman, you're a CEO of the company right now. This is what you do. I mean, this is your first startup. You're running a company that I believe has a bright future. But I'm wondering, take us behind the scenes of your brain when you're alone there at home or before the meetings. What goes through your head as somebody who needs to lead a company? What are some of the things that you are worried about or you are trying to perfect as somebody who is now a leader of a company that is growing and may become something huge. So, and the reason I'm asking that question is because, whether you're running a law firm, whether you're running a grocery store, whether you have a small team, we all have this progression that we go through because we are not people that have done it in the past. We are growing into it. So, as somebody who's going into a leadership position, why don't you kind of walk us through what is going through your head and how do you train yourself to get better? And I know you've improved a lot in the past year, but why don't you tell us what are some of the things you've done to improve and continue to improve?
To answer your first question, what goes in my mind, uh, several things, but one thing that I always try to remember myself is what is the immediate priority versus the long term goal. Quite often when we are working on a startup, we get excited with things easily and we can distract from what we are supposed to do and what is our immediate company's goal and vision versus, oh, this is a cool technology, let me play with it. So, not just with yourself, but also steering the entire team on, okay, this is our focus area, this is our next set of milestones, and this is what we are going to do. There are several concepts about how a startup should function with, like doing experiments, pivoting, but you need to ultimate. I mean, I always like try to ask myself what is my ultimate priority, and the ultimate priority lies in either raising the financing, either getting to a product to a state where it is functional. You need to think about what are all my channels that I'm going to think through. And there are certain times when you are sleeping, you will think, hang on, is this really going to work or not? Believe it or not, you know, as you said, like the leader of the company should always believe in what they are doing, but sometimes you do get those doubts, and when you get those doubts, you need to basically look through. Okay, what did I do before? What are the chances of success, and what are people saying about it? Um, so, I mean, the more confidence that I gained in the past 8 months is because the more customers and actual people that we asked, not just asked, okay, what do you think about that idea? We had them do things. Like we had 100 blind people do things with the glasses, with our
Right.
agents to really test the product out and see, are we smoking guns, or
Sure.
is there a real product, and is there a real product out there? Now the product is one big thing. We talked a little bit about the team, but the other thing is economics of the product. Okay, so now we have the product, it works out. How do I put a business model around it? How will the company make money when we are going to the investor? What is the story that you have, and how you are creating the value? So at every step, the things that goes through in your mind are different. But I guess rather than freaking out, It's more around, okay, handling things one at a time, and then making progress and focusing on the things that you are ultimately supposed to do. Sometimes, just talking to friends, wife, partner, will help too, because they will talk you through it. And I think, even though you are the leader of the company, I think those things are really important for expressing concerns and talking to board more members. And talking, Jacob, I talked to you as
Right.
well, several different occasions, on what do you think about certain things that I'm hung up with.
Of course.
So it's okay to seek out help. It's okay to talk through things with your team members, and also friends and family, uh, to get over issues and make progress.
I think this is the only way to do it right now. There's not a single way or path. But
Uh-huh.
let me ask you this one: where do you? I mean, I'm sure people ask you that question in the meetings, or maybe not. Where do you see the company in 5 years as the person leading it right now?
Where do I see the company?
Yeah.
Well, our goal is actually making the company public within 3 to 4 years. And the way, the trajectory or the roadmap that we see is, we will launch the service for the blind people. We will start to grow that market. And then we will start to look other avenues for remote assistive technologies.
Hmm.
um, when I talked about technology, one thing I haven't mentioned is, we want to see ourselves as a platform in the remote assistive technology world. And people may wonder, like, what the heck platform means, right? So platform for us is a set of framework that you put together for remote assistive and pumping in the information to the dashboard. One similar analogy is, when Apple or Android comes up with their operating system, and they have app stores, they're basically giving away their base operating system for other people to develop apps. Now, what we want to do is, we want to build a platform in such a way that we integrate into other providers. I will give you an example. So if you want to pull up bus schedules, right, like real-time bus schedules,
Right.
we integrate with Google's out there. If we want to pull up menus of from the restaurants, we integrate with menu providers, Yelp, and Moogle, and things like that. There is a lot of machine learning that is being built by several different companies. One of the companies called Clarify. They purely
Yes.
focus on building API for object recognition and image recognition. Now, how a company like Ira may benefit? Now, here's a key thing, right? So for IRA, for our agents, information is super important. Now imagine a blind person is walking down the street, but the information is popped up on the agent dashboard that, oh, okay, this is a sidewalk with so and so feet long, and there are certain objects coming up. If they walk into a restaurant, okay, here is the table, here is a chair, here's a high chair versus a glass versus a ketchup thing, right? So, in turn, what we can do is, we can contribute or annotate the images that agents are looking at to contribute to those databases. So, it's like a mutual relationship for building a better machine learning, which over time will only help the remote assistive technology more and more effective, if that makes any sense.
Right. And like I said, the vision is. I mean, I'm happy that you mentioned it because you can see how you think ahead, how you can think far, and it's important because right now things go fast, especially in this industry. I mean, look at live streaming. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
applications that started in March,
Yeah.
Meerkat,
Mm-hmm.
Periscope, Blab just came out 2 months ago.
Yeah.
These people, I mean, these applications, they have millions of users already in less than 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this is so exciting because it's kind of like fire. It spreads, and people embrace it, and I think that you should be. I mean, I'm kind of excited for you. I mean, I wanted to give a disclaimer that I am advising your company as well, and I'm excited to share the ride with you. And Suman, as we reach the end of our podcast, I wanted to ask you one thing. Perhaps you can share with our listeners, if people are listening and they want to start something. Maybe they want to start their business. Maybe they want to improve their existing company, and they can't because things holding them back, and they say, well, maybe it's not the right time. And I know that you went through that process also before you started this company because you were doing other stuff. You were working for a big employer. What is the one thing that helped you, or you can share with somebody that is on the fence and they just kind of keep pushing it? What would you tell somebody to help them move forward?
Well, if I look back, one thing was you got to believe in it. If you don't believe it in yourself, then it's extremely tough to push it. There are multiple different scenarios where I had to ask myself, is this the right thing to do or not? But unless and until you make progress and you try to incrementally prove and test out the idea, the product, it's not going to work out. If you had doubts, sometimes talk to other people and get their inputs and do some tests before just say, you know what, this is not going to work, and give up. And sometimes I would also say, Jacob, this one, right? We had several different pivoting thoughts, and it's okay to think about different pivots, but ultimately you got to think, okay, what is my ultimate goal with the company that you are going to do, and if you are making the right decisions. So in short, I got to believe in what you're doing and test out before making a lot of assumptions. I did make a lot of assumptions myself. A lot of things may work, may not work, but one simple thing that you can do is test it out with the real users, and then see what they had to say. And it doesn't have to be perfect to test it out. That's the other thing. It never has to be perfect. It can be like a patchy car that can walk, that doesn't even have to drive, but you can still think about how minimally you can test it. So yeah,
Right.
those two things, Jacob: believe in what you're doing, and then continue to do testing, even though it is not a perfect product yet.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great advice. So, Suman, if anybody wants to check out Ira and they want to find out more information, why don't you verbally tell us what's the website and how they can find it? We'll put a note. We'll put links in our show notes.
Yeah, sure. This is always tricky with the name. Our company is IRA, and the way to spell it is AI for artificial intelligence, and RA. For people who are listening, RA is the Egyptian sun god who helps, whose high helps like a lot of people. So the website is aira.io is the website, and my name is Suman. If you go to the website, you will find my contact. But otherwise, it's Suman, Suman at ira.io is my email address.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Suman, for taking the time to share some of your ideas with us and tell us about this amazing company. And thank you to our listeners who are tuning in every week, sending out emails and messages with ideas about guests and topics. This is really great. I'm very inspired to receive those comments and continue to producing this shows for you guys. So have a beautiful day, and we'll see you at our next episode.